This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everybody. It's another Thursday here in the Rio Grande Valley and wherever you're at. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going out on 97.7 KCYP, The City, out of McAllen, Texas. We're broadcasting right now, live, here in the McAllen Creative Incubator. Man, we got painters, we got sculptors, we got movie makers, one right behind the camera right now, Joe Martinez. He'll hopefully be putting on a camp for adults. He put on a camp for kids in the summer, how to make movies. So they, in 5 days, they had a movie going. So hopefully we'll have something going on for adults one of these days. I'll keep you posted. Be assured of that because, man, that would be cool. So hang on with me just a minute while I tune us up here on the book that is Face. And I'll tell you right now, this show is going to be a good one. Why? Because one of our friends, okay, Marcos, you know who you are. One of our friends has been continuously motivating me about something that's very important. Now, whether you remembered it or not, and I know you will once I mention it, because it's the Maui fire in Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii, America. So that fire has a lot of things going on with it, unfortunately still. So I'm going to cover a little bit of that. I'm going to go through some of the show. We don't usually have the amount of viewership in the beginning of the show as we do towards the end. Right now, Mike, good to see you, Mike. If you have any comments, just throw them out there, Mike. So whatever you feel about the situation, I think that I can give you a little bit more information, not just here on the show, but to dig into after, because the reason I know this is simply because I heard an interview of a great investigative reporter, in my opinion, on the matter. So I'll get with you on that. So somebody else popped in. Marcos is there. All right, good to see you, Marcos. We're gonna wait a little bit for that thing I told you about, the story I told you about earlier. We're gonna wait a little bit. Hopefully we'll have more people that can weigh in and maybe they heard something too. But it's getting more interesting and more devilish at the same time. The economic barometer here. Gold is going at 2,468. Wait a minute, 2,468. Do these numbers sound made up to you? I don't know, but that's what it was when I started, looking up the numbers for the show. $2,468 an ounce for gold. Silver's at $28.58 an ounce for gold. Bitcoin, it dipped. If you want to buy, now would not be a bad time. Of course, I am not a financial advisor, and I give you no financial advice, partially because I don't wear a tie. Average mortgage rate. Oh, I'm sorry. Bitcoin, did I even mention the price? 56.9. Don't know where it's at right now. 56.9 a couple hours ago. Average mortgage rate, 30-year rate, 6.55%. So it's coming down. It's coming down as we knew it would just before the election. The 15-year rate is 5.95%. Okay, still high compared to DJT, President Donald Trump's service. Still way, way, way high. But hey, that's Bidenomics for you. Anyway, Bitcoin.com tells us China-Russia international trade payments situation worsens. Crypto and barter rise as alternatives. There's nothing new. We know these things. Okay, guys, we know. But here's the meat and potatoes of the article. Chinese regional banks, which were once used as bridges to process payments from Russia to China, have begun rejecting these payments for fear of secondary sanctions. See, when the Federal Reserve Bank, the one that owns the United States, when that bank decided it was going to weaponize the U.S. dollar, actually it's not the U.S. dollar, it's the Federal Reserve note, which is not federal and private, very much private. You're not an owner. If you're watching this show, you are not an owner of the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve basically brought sanctions upon Russia and China. Well, mainly Russia because, well, they had to lie about the whole Trump-Russia collusion thing. But aside from that, their pet project in Ukraine was threatened by justice. So what they had to do was they had to respond. And they did. They cut off Russia from the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system is that system that you or I use when we, tap our credit cards or our debit cards or swipe or whatever you want to do. You insert it into the machine and it reads the information on your account, takes from your account, gives to the merchant or whoever it is that you're buying your stuff from. So that's the SWIFT system. Well, they cut Russia off. So Russia, as basically who they are, they took initiative and they started their own system. So not only did the Federal Reserve cut them off and hamper international trade, they also initiated, a pretty good stimulus for the Russian economy, because what they then did was probably, I would imagine, a much less transaction fee is having to be paid to the Russian system, as is, the banksters in the SWIFT system. I don't know the details, but I would imagine that the Federal Reserve fee is much higher than whatever system that the Russians have going on. So they, I guess you could say it backfired. So the sanctions actually made Russia a better economy. Go figure. Go figure. You can argue with me if you want. I mean, please just, let me know. That's fine. So what do we have here? CoinDesk. So CoinDesk says U.S. crypto bill can happen this year. Senate's Schumer. Oh, alarm bells ought to be going out with that one, guys. Senators Schumer. Oh, Senate's Schumer tells crypto backers of Harris. So, as we know, and we've covered this on the show, ladies and gents, it says I have 3 here, but I only see 2. That's fine. So, the usual suspects are not happy about the fact that Donald Trump is beginning to embrace cryptos, which is great news, right? I mean, he was kind of on the fence, didn't really know anything about Bitcoin, or so he said, whatever. But now he's embracing it. Why? Well, how do we know? Well, he went to the Bitcoin conference last month, went to the Bitcoin conference, spoke very glowingly, if you will, about the coin, about Bitcoin, and how it would be not only welcome in the United States, but he wanted to make the U.S. the biggest Bitcoin miner in the world. I know the communists will tell you differently, but when Donald Trump says something, he at least attempts it. So, what do we got here? Bloomberg. Yesterday, in case you didn't know or remember, the CPI, Consumer Price Index report, fell. So Bloomberg says, headline, soft U.S. CPI seen tempering first quarter inflation scare. Doesn't mean much, does it? It wasn't meant to mean much. They never do. The core CPI gauge, which strips out food and energy prices, a couple things surprised me. Not that they stripped out food and energy prices. That is typical because that would skew the numbers in, towards accuracy. And the last thing they would like is accuracy. So when they're saying the core CPI gauge, nice cup of how do they pronounce that? Arabica coffee? I don't know. Joe, how do they Arabica?
Sounds right.
Arabica?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Abacab, something like that. I don't know. But it's good coffee, regardless. So it rose 0.1%. So whatever that means, it doesn't mean what we think it means, because food and energy have been taken out. The biggest things in an American resident citizen's budget many times can be food and energy. I mean, you pretty much need them. And they take those out of the computer price index. I don't see how anyone is ever fooled by these numbers. but a lot of people pay attention to these things. So, anyways, they rose 0.1% compared with May, a weaker gain than predicted by all but 4 of the 71 economists in Bloomberg's survey. 71 economists. And what are they worth? What are these economists worth? What have they predicted that's right? Have they told you that we're in a recession yet? What are they worth? You tell me. Headline CPI dropped 1% on the month, weighed down by a tumble in gasoline and broader energy costs. Wait a minute, guys. They just told us that the CPI strips out food and energy prices. They just said it. It's right here in the article. Then they say, headline CPI dropped 0.1% on the month, weighed down by a tumble in gasoline and broader energy costs. Hey, guys, did you see a tumble in your gas prices? Did you see a tumble in your broader energy costs? Just wondering. You can comment here. I'll answer. I'll see at least. The weaker reading on inflation boosted the chance that the Fed will start cutting interest rates as soon as September and bolstered the narrative that acceleration in inflation seen in the first quarter of the year was an anomaly. Oh, I feel so much safer now. Zero Hedge. It's communism. Kamala's first economic plan. Oh, and I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. Frankly, I don't care. Kamala's first economic plan proposes first economic plan. Wait a minute. She's been in office how long? She just came up with an economic plan? Anyway, this economic plan, this blockbuster economic plan, proposes price controls to combat inflation. Ooh, wait a minute. Wasn't that what the acts that they put into the Inflation Reduction Act? Wasn't that supposed to combat inflation, Kimmy? I don't know. After the unoriginal Vice President Kamala stole former President Trump's proposed no tax on tips policy. Yeah, she did that, didn't she? So Donald Trump, knowing that, real people are hurting, says, hey, when I get back in, I'm going to take off the taxes on tips. Great. That was months ago. It was awesome, right? I had even wrote on at least one receipt, as I give a tip, vote for Trump, no tax on tips. You leave it on the table there, the waitress or waiter sees it. Maybe you want somebody over. I don't know. She's at it again with yet another recycled idea. That's for sure. How can anything original come from her? I don't know. This time, she's echoing President Biden's actions. Whose actions? Do we have a President Joe? Do we have a President Joe? Or do we have a President Joe? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know if anybody has.
I saw him on the beach.
You saw him on the beach? Yeah, or was that like a cadaver? I don't know. This time she's echoing President Biden's actions. Actions? How does a guy like him take any actions at all? I don't understand. What's Marcos saying here? He says, hello, Odd. I say, hello, Marcos. How are you doing, my friend? Mike says, I think food and energy are the bulk of my bills. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Food, especially, a growing man like yourself, Mike, you're having to eat it 3 times a day, the average person, right? Energy. Here in Texas, you got to keep that air conditioning going, or man, you got some health issues coming your way, or you just got to toughen up. And most of us don't want to do that. We just want cool air. Then, of course, in the wintertime, the northern states, well, they need heat, be that heating oil, be that gas furnaces, unless you're in New York, because they want to outlaw that stuff. Why? Because, well, it's efficient. It's good for you. They want to outlaw that. So, yeah, food and energy. I mean, duh. So, they want to propose the first ever, this is Cammie, wants to propose the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging in the food and grocery industries, a move that reeks of socialism, says Zero Hedge. Of course it does. If you look into, for 10 minutes, you won't have to look long, but if you look into food and grocery industries, their profit margin is not high, ladies and gentlemen. They're not high at all. That's why, food places, let's take the local, and I champion HEB. I mean, man, they really know how to run a grocery chain. So HEB, I can't imagine their profit margin being very high on the foods that they sell, but they sell other stuff, right? I mean, yeah, they have, the barbecue section. You're going to have your charcoal and all that stuff, independent vendors and so forth. Also, they have, good barbecue in the one I go to. So anyway, the thing about these grocery stores is they don't make a lot of money on the food they sell. They really don't. If you look this up, just again for 10 minutes, Cammie, you're going to find this out. So the reason why our food prices are so high and our energy prices are so high is because the Federal Reserve note's in the crapper, Cammie. It's in the crapper. Okay? And your masters have made it so. So this also from Zero Hedge. U.S. government asks Supreme Court to reinstate student loan relief plan. Wow. Here's what they're tacitly admitting. If the U.S. government is asking the Supreme Court to reinstate the student loan relief plan, which I don't believe was ever instated in the first place, other than, the usual suspects, that means that the Supreme Court made a ruling, and they most certainly did. What the ruling basically said was that funds from people who work for a living should not be stolen to fund the education of people who signed a loan agreement, agreed to repay it, and then said, no, let the plumber over there, that contractor who didn't go to college, that guy who's working on my hot water heater, let him pay for my college. I don't want to pay for it because Joe said I don't have to. And I voted for Joe, and I'm going to vote for Joe again because he doesn't make people pay their obligations because, well, he needs votes. And I want to vote for him because I don't want to pay for my college. Hey, dude, you working on the road crew, you're going to pay for my college because you didn't go, dummy. You're a dummy. Pay. Anyway, yeah, that's my opinion of all that. So this is also from Zero Hedge. Western battle tanks are invading Russia. You knew that it was just going to be a matter of time, ladies and gents, that NATO, that evil organization NATO, is going to, invade Russia. They got to get this war going any way, shape, or form it takes. They will get this war going because they know they're not going to do in 2024, or they won't be able to do in 2024 what they did in 2020. They know this. More on that in a little bit too. And yes, let me see where we're at time-wise. We are going to hit on the Maui fires. Okay, if you're just joining us on KCYP The City 97.7 FM, also going out on Facebook, YouTube, Radio Garden, and TuneIn Radio. Also, I think I got them. If you didn't catch the beginning of the show, what we're doing later is following up on what our friend Marcos has told me on many occasions, keeping me basically on the subject, is it's the Maui fires. Okay, so the Maui fires happened a little over a year ago. Mike also says, I would support them to lower the interest rates on the loans, but definitely not for the taxpayers to pay off the loan. Of course. I mean, if we want to give them a break, right? That's fair. I can see that as fair because these people, most of them, are in their incipient career stages, and we want to help them out because, well, hopefully they have jobs and they're working for, the public good. We want to help them out. I'm not against helping people out, but we all have our own burdens to carry, right? Jesus Christ is the one who tells us, cast your burdens upon me, okay? The average America has enough on their shoulders than to carry someone who wants to welch out of their debt. I'm sorry. It's simple as that. Anyway, the Ukrainian Armed Forces 82nd Air Assault Brigade had received up to 14 Challenger 2 tanks starting in January 2023. This highly provocative move, condemned by Moscow, later prompted Germany and the United States to also provide some tanks. So we're going to have German and U.S. tanks along with British tanks and Ukrainian tanks set on fire because it's war. And, they're only, a few, maybe $100 million each. You can afford it. The Gateway Pundit. Multiple arrests made in connection to actor Matthew Perry's death. I don't know if you guys remember this. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Actor Matthew Perry died. I believe it was last year. I think it was 2023. I'm not sure. But here's the article from the Gateway Pundit. Multiple people are now facing federal charges in connection with the ketamine death of Friends star Matthew Perry. ABC News has learned. The arrests were made in an early morning operation Thursday and included a doctor, according to law enforcement sources. The charges will be announced at a news briefing later on Thursday with the U.S. Attorney for Los Angeles and the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration. Perry died on October 8, 2023, at the age of 54. Wow. He was discovered unresponsive in a jacuzzi at his Los Angeles home, police said. An autopsy report revealed he died from acute effects of ketamine. Ketamine. I don't know, but it was pretty sad. So that's just to tell you that some things move very slow. And I wink because there are also good news that moves slow. So I'm going to go to X now. Now, it's not what people would call official. Justin, good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. We're going to get onto this Maui thing in a little bit, but I want to tell you some news from X because, in my opinion, X. Joe, you got something?
Yeah, we got 3 comments here.
Oh, what do we got?
No, this I don't know if you've already addressed this from Michael.
Mike, sure? Yeah.
Okay, got that one. Okay, what about Luis?
No. What do we got?
He said the Federal Reserve is as federal as FedEx.
Thank you very much, Luis. You're solid on that one, I'll tell you. Man, so what Joe's doing, he's monitoring the other feeds, so I can only monitor one here. But thank you, Luis. I appreciate that. What else we got back there, Joe?
Another one from Michael also. He says, I would support them to lower the interest rates on the loans, but definitely not for taxpayers to pay off the loans.
Right, yeah, and I completely agree, Mike. I mean, help them, yes. Pay their debts off for them, well, that's only something a government would do. So this is from George at Busy Tweets. This is on X, okay? The Georgia Supreme Court unanimously ruled that private contractors working for the government are also subject to public record requests. I think this happened today, everybody. And this pertains, okay, to something that I don't see. I thought I had it in my notes, but I'll wing it. So the Georgia Supreme Court unanimously ruled that private contractors working for the government are also subject to public records requests. It's important. I'll get to it in a second. This means citizens can now obtain evidence from companies involved in elections like Dominion voting machines. Wow. How does this work? I'll tell you how it works. There is a wonderful woman out there, wonderful patriot. She's a Gold Star mom. Do you know what a Gold Star mom is? It means that one of her kids was killed in action fighting for the United States of America. In her case, her son was a distinguished, I believe he was a special operations operator, I believe for SEAL. If anybody knows better or more, let me know. But I believe he was a Navy SEAL. So he died in one of the many wars that our government has gotten us into. Of course, it wasn't a war that Donald Trump got us into because he didn't get us into any wars. That's why they hate him. Anyway, so Ms. Peters was an election official, a county clerk in Colorado. So when Dominion announced that they were going to do some sort of software update on the servers, the machines, all of the stuff that by Colorado law, and it might even be federal law, was tasked with the Colorado in every county of Colorado was tasked with basically preserving these election results for 22 months. So inside of those 22 months, Dominion, in my opinion, this is me, these are my words, was going to strike. She knew it. She said, listen, let's image these computers, or at least one or two that have all of the data on it, image the computers. And that way, if anything happens during the Dominion update, well, we'll at least have evidence of how the vote rolled out in Colorado to reflect upon. And I will be doing my duty as county clerk to retain, preserve the voting records in that period, which in this case is 22 months. She was going to do her job. Yes. Can you imagine that? A government official going to do her job. And that's why they came after her. That's exactly why they came after her, because she was going to do her job. You don't do your job if you're a government official, not especially if you're in Washington, D.C. You would never want to do that. You'd be called out immediately. So, hence Donald Trump. So, according to this, the Georgia Supreme Court unanimously ruled contractors like Dominion must give it up. Do you think they're really going to do it? No, neither do I. But it's a start, ladies and gentlemen. It's a start. So this also from X. This account's called Sudden and Unexpected. This is from X, everybody. This is from X. Okay? Facebook doesn't like X because X is not perfect by any means, but much more truthful. In that, I mean that the truth can be mentioned on X. So Sudden and Unexpected on X says that 8 cancer doctors who dedicated their lives to saving others and blowing the whistle on the devastating turbo cancer epidemic sweeping the world have been found dead. Do you remember that plane crash? I didn't know this at first. I would have covered it last week. I think it happened prior to last week's show anyway. Do you remember the plane crash in Brazil? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Anyway, 8 cancer doctors, among other doctors, were on that plane that went down. Everyone died. I think 62 lives were lost. So 8 of them were about to blow open the door, the window, the case of turbo cancers. Now, I am on Facebook, so there's only so much truth I can tell you. But if you hit me up on bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com, I can give you some links. I can do that, okay? Google hasn't canceled that yet. So basically, there were some people who were going to tell you some truths about the damages that government policy did to us during the pandemic, okay? They had evidence that connected turbo cancer with something near and dear to the usual suspects that perhaps you had been poisoned with. Regardless, these people have lost their lives because they were going to tell truth. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this. Not to lose my life. I don't want to do that, of course. But I tell people truth because somebody has to do it. And I don't know. I figure might as well be one of the people doing it. So, yeah, that plane crash had more implications than what we knew. Real Robert on X says, your overthrown government finds Tina Peters guilty on 7 of 10 charges. Oh, I forgot that part. Oh, yeah. No good deed goes unpunished in this political climate. Tina Peters was found guilty on 7 of 10 charges. Now, she was not brought up on charges of preserving the voting records. She was not brought up on charges of doing her job because she did her job. She did what was supposed to be done. She abided by the law. But she had to go, and I didn't include this part, she had to go around her chain of command. Why? Because the chain of command it's rigged. It's rigged. They knew what they were doing. They wouldn't let her basically copy the computers. They didn't want them preserved. And what happened during the update? Oops! Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, whose property this used to belong to. Sorry. No more evidence. Who'da thunk it? Who'da thunk it? No more evidence. It's gone. Can't find it. Can't prove a thing. So she, sentencing is coming up, but she was found guilty on 7 of 10 charges. And this guy, I think it's facetious. I don't know, not facetious, but I think he's being sarcastic. But anyway, this is what he says. For preserving the fingerprint, the DNA, the blood type of how Dominion rigging systems overthrew the U.S. government on Conspiracy Day, November 3, 2020. Yes. No matter what they say about January 6th, and remember, not one of the people that were arrested. Oh, and also remember that Ray Epps was never arrested. You know, the guy who was screaming, "Let's take the Capitol." He was never arrested. He was brought in, questioned. But Ray Epps is free. Okay? The people walking in between those velvet ropes because the Capitol Police allowed them into the Capitol, those people are in solitary confinement. Still there. So whatever they say about January 6th, that was the cover-up operation by the usual suspects. And no one, not one person, held for whatever they did on January 6th. Remember, only no law enforcement people died of the protest. But they were jailed not for treason, not for insurgency, not for anything other than being there. And when they compared the two images, they discovered that election records had been deleted or altered. 29,000 of them. 29,000 election records. Alex Cantu is watching. Alex, glad to see you. We got some cool stuff coming up in a minute. Hang on. I'll be right there. Dominion is currently fighting subpoenas brought by Tina Peters because they know anything else it'll show, if anything else, it'll show that Dominion conspired to overthrow the U.S. government on November 3rd, 2020. And believe me, they are pressing the issue because anyone who says what I just said, they're coming after. Now, I'm just a little guy, okay? We got 4 or 5 viewers here. I'm just a little guy telling the truth. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to come to what I have, spoken about a few times. And it is this. The Maui fires. Okay. On August 7th and 8th of 2023, we just passed the anniversary. Okay. So what happened there? A lot of things happened there. None of them good, unless there were some heroic actions on the part of a few that we didn't hear about. But none of the things that happened in the Maui fire, and it's really almost a misnomer to call it a fire. Yes, fire did break out, but I'll get into that. So there's a woman out there, okay, and in a very unfortunate overlooking of mine, I did not grab the woman's number. So I'm going to do that right now, at the same time giving you the website that I want to give you. GreatMauiLandGrabBook.com. Great Maui Land Grab Book, all one word, .com. Okay? So this woman, it popped up right away. She wrote a book, okay? It looks fairly comprehensive, okay? And this book basically gives you a really good overview of what it's all about. Her name is Michelle Melendez. So Michelle Melendez, I believe she's either a Hawaii native or she lives in Hawaii or both, okay? So whatever. Enjoying the show as usual. Thanks, Alex. We'll have to have you on again one of these days, Alex. We'll get together. So here's what her book entails. And I don't want to give too much. Well, I haven't read it yet. I'm going to order it. I haven't read it. Oh, I guess hit me up on Facebook in the comments or whatever if you're interested in this book, especially after what I tell you is in it. There are deals for you get a certain amount off if you order a certain amount of books. So I'll wait about a week And if you guys are interested, hit me up in the comments here, because I look back. I'll check it out. And if we have enough, I'll just order them. And then, because I think you get a discount depending on how many you buy. So maybe we'll get a deal. Anyway, either way, if you pay full price, I think it's great to support her in this. Michelle Melendez, okay? Again, Great Maui Land Grab Book.com. Great Maui Land Grab Book.com. She does a little outline on, and then I want to do a throw out to John B. Wells, Caravan to Midnight. If you guys are into long form interview shows, there's nobody better in my opinion. He's got the best voice in the business, right? John B. Wells used to be a guest host for Coast to Coast AM. Used to be, remember, with Art Bell way back, and then George Norrie, and then my opinion, John B. Wells was the best. I mean, Art Bell was, an icon, right? But John B. Wells, he took it. He really did. And they kicked him off for it because he was trying to tell people the truth. And you can only go so far on Coast to Coast because it's mainstream. So he has his own show, Caravan to Midnight. So check him out, caravantomidnight.com, I believe it is. Anyway, it's worth a subscription, $15 for 3 months. Nothing, man. But he's got great interviews with great guests. And one of these was Michelle Melendez, and I heard the interview. So in the book, chapter 1, questionable weather events on August 7th and 8th, 2023. So I think this was day before or whatever. So during that time, and I know we've spoken about this before, I think we have, that there is such a thing as weather manipulation. Well, apparently, according to Michelle Melendez, she said that and this is public knowledge, there are a couple of them located in, I think, two different Hawaiian islands, that they're HAARP-like. And if you don't know anything about HAARP, it's HAARP. Look it up. You'll find a lot of stuff out on Google that is not right, not true. But just go to some other like Yandex or something like that to search it out. Or if you have X, their Grok AI is pretty good. So chapter 1 talks about the weather events that were questionable. Okay, they had some crazy looking clouds apparently. Chapter 2 says 21 fire anomalies, and she lists them out. Such as, trees burning from the inside, but not really burning up. Vehicles having the glass melt. The glass melted because of the heat. The aluminum rims on vehicles melted, but the vehicle's still there. Yeah. And the one that we all loved, blue things did not burn. Blue things did not burn. Yes. So that is one of the 21 fire anomalies, okay, of the Lahaina Maui fire. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that, brother. So if you haven't seen it, look in the comments. Mike wrote out Great Maui Land Grab Book.com. So he wrote it out if you want to copy and paste. If you're listening to this not live, it's later on in the week, past Thursday or tonight. You just go into the comments and you can copy and paste, and it shows right up. Again, if you guys want to go for a group discount, let me know, and I'll put it together. We'll get together and maybe get a discount. And if you want to, support a cause, just buy it for whatever the cover price is. So 21, and I've just covered a couple. 21 Maui fire anomalies. This was not a natural fire, ladies and gentlemen. It was not by any stretch, by any means, a natural fire. And if you read into this, and especially if you get this woman's book, or you go to Caravan to Midnight and you look at, you listen to, watch her interview, you'll see. Chapter 3. Okay, there's a bunch of chapters, right? And I'm giving you a little overview here. And if you have any other comments, if you learn more or something different, please pop up. I want to know so that I can keep others, apprised of the criminal activities. The criminal activities. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a mass murder. I am not afraid to say that. Not at all. This was a mass murder, and I'm going to get into some other reasons why I believe so. 21 fire anomalies. She has on the website, if you get in there, Mike, you've probably already seen it, is a dog that was it looked to me, anyway, the photo, like he was in still motion, caught in the moment of running and burnt to a crisp. But for whatever reason, and experts have weighed in on this, done studies. So she basically cites the expert opinion of an arborist, a tree expert, right? For those of you that are not using the arborist terminology in your everyday speech. So a tree expert and other experts in different disciplines have weighed in on this. And it's just completely abnormal. These things don't happen in regular fires. So 21 of those in chapter 2. Also, chapter 3, Hawaii governor's questionable statements. Another thing that popped up was that the governor wasn't there that day. The fire chief of Lahaina was not there that day. The alarm system that cost, I believe, the most money, or it was the best, or both, in the nation, was shut off. If you can't listen, if you can't watch this, if you're in your vehicle right now, and thank you for listening, and you don't have the video and you don't want to because you don't want to crash, I want you to hear this right now. That's me slapping my palm upon my forehead because the best fire alarm, they said it wasn't a fire alarm, but it was a fire alarm, even in the documents, was shut off. It was shut off, ladies and gentlemen, when this fire occurred. They turned off the best fire alarm ever. You think, oh, wow, man. Our community's doing great, man. We got the best fire alarm in the world. It's only as good as the politician that has access to the button. Right? Just like we got a guy now. Right? He's on the beach. Joe, you saw him on the beach, Joe. He's on the beach, passed out. He's got the hand on the button if he wants to. Okay? The man is literally mentally gone. How do I know this? Because a court weighed in on it. Joe Biden can't be brought up on charges because he's mentally incapable of defending himself. But he's still got his finger, his I don't know if his finger is as well as or as damaged as his brain. But that finger, in combination with the damaged brain, has new codes. Yeah. Well, they want us to believe that, right? They want us to believe that tripe. So, Corinne, good to see ya. So they're adding up, right? These things, this craziness is adding up on these Maui fires. This mass murder of a community. Think about why. We'll get to that in a minute. Chapter 4, experts know the Maui fire was not normal. Again, the arborist. And then a fire expert. And then chapter 5. Remember, there's a lot more. For brevity, I just included the first 5. Chapter 5, death toll bouncing ball. We never did, Marcos, did we? We never did get accurate numbers or any numbers that would be committed to out of that. Did we? No, because they don't want us to know. Because the more people that die, the more people will notice. So here's some questions. How were animals left unrecognizable, burned from the inside out? Fire, real fire, burns from the outside in. Humans and animals were burned from the inside out. This is another good one. It's on the website if you check it out. What's that website again, Mike? Great MauiLandGrabBook.com. GreatMauiLandGrabBook.com. How was a blue ticket found in the ashes fully intact? This picture is on the website. It's a ticket, as any other, a paper. ticket, piece of paper. You know what was very special about this piece of paper, this ticket? It was blue. It was blue. And in this interview, if you listen to it, Ms. Melendez explains to us why blue can save you from this weapon. Okay. Now, we're not sure, ladies and gents. Conspiracy theory, right? Conspiracy theory. Well, what else? What else do we have? We're not going to get truth from the usual suspects, the committers of these evil deeds. We're not going to get truth from them. We get lies and murder. Yeah. Maybe it'll be your community next. But the thing that Lahaina had against it, actually, it was just very high-priced real estate. Somebody else is going to own it soon. Why wasn't the best alarm system in the world turned on? I covered that. And these are just questions, right? And why were residents forced to stay inside the fire zone? Ladies and gentlemen, this gets even worse. Police were keeping people inside the cordon. Anyone who has any type of law enforcement or first responder experience, you know that if there's a disaster, a cordon is created, a perimeter, if you will, with the police tape or the caution tape or whatever. A perimeter is set up designed to keep people out of the danger area. In the Maui fires, police were keeping people from fleeing the disaster. I am not kidding you. Great Maui Fire. I'm sorry. Scratch that. GreatMauiLandGrabBook.com. GreatMauiLandGrabBook.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the police kept people in. Lives were lost because public servants refused to allow residents to flee. There are eyewitness stories in this book. Accounts were given on this alarm or this interview. Again, Caravan to Midnight, John B. Wells. This interview I listened to is spectacular. This woman put her heart and soul into the work to expose the truth about what happened of those murders. Those people were murdered, ladies and gentlemen. And all it takes for you and I to be murdered is to have the land below us be valuable. Valuable enough for the usual suspects to want to take it away from us in whatever manner they see fit. And then clean it up in no time. While our children don't even become ashes because there wasn't a real fire. A lot remains to be answered about this, ladies and gentlemen, but thank you for caring. You know, we got guys like Marcos out there prodding me to remembrance about these things, and I thank you, Marcos. It doesn't let the story die. And of course, God doesn't want evil deeds in secret. That's why he writes verses. He wrote verses about this. Bring the evil deeds to light that they might perish. Or at least be found out. It's coming to light, ladies and gentlemen, and a lot more will come to light. We're in a war. We're in a war. Make no mistake. But God wins. God will win. He is winning. How? He's winning hearts and souls. There are people that are going to go to heaven because they're waking up to the fact that this is a spiritual war. Sure, we have enemies in Washington, D.C. We have enemies in Hollywood. We have enemies. We certainly do. On Wall Street. In the Federal Reserve. Do they want us, poor? Yes! Preferably dead. But the fact of the matter is, even if they want us dead, and they do, it only matters what God wants. He's going to get his will in the end. Why don't we be on his side? There's my pitch. There's my pitch. That's all I have. But that's all I need. I have Jesus. I don't need anything else. I don't need their money. I don't need anything. Oh, that was a good one. That was a real good one. Up here is Mrs. Hayes Helper, I believe. Helper Hayes. Oh, that woman. Look her up. You'll find something really interesting about that. So, as I go into the closing messages, I want to let you know that I'm praying for you. I'm praying for all the people that tune into the show and those that don't. Those that don't. But the fact of the matter is, we as Americans must wake up. And we that are listening to and delving into the things that you and I are delving into on this show are doing a good thing. We are exposing evil deeds to light. Okay? And when we do that, the light of the truth will prevail. And Lord willing, justice will be done on earth. If not, it will be done in heaven. Yes, it will. I'm about to close out. Unless anybody has...
wants to know if you have any more plushies.
Who says that?
Corinne.
Oh, Corinne.
Says Johnny says hi and wants to know if you have Otter plushies.
Oh, that would be cool. Johnny, how you doing? Oh, I also want to say hi to my dad if he's watching. Hi, Dad. And Johnny, my grandson, one of them, Johnny and Zaya. And Audrey, if you're watching. I don't have any Otter plushies, but I need to get that going, don't I? I need to get Bitcoin Otter plushies. Thank you for the idea, Johnny. Thank you. I got to get that off the ground. So, thank you, Joe, for pointing that out to me. Sometimes I have trouble digging out the... Oh, David. David Harrow's watching. Thank you, David. Hope you enjoy this hopefully informative show. Again, Great Maui Land Grab Book.com. Thanks for posting that, Mike. Great Maui Land Grab Book.com. Yeah, so she also goes into who's going to try and buy it, and you will not be surprised. So, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much for watching. This is what we do, bringing truth to light. I really appreciate your viewership, your listenership, those of you that are watching and listening live, and those of you that are not able to watch and listen live, but you're listening to it or watching it afterward. Thank you very much. You have a great and blessed day and week, and I'll come back at you next week, Lord willing. Greetings, blessings, and good fortune. Goodbye.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show
Oh my God, I love you so much.
on 97.